I can't find the words to explain to you how good these pro gamers are.
He's actually stimming his units as he leaves the base. He's trying to get so many other players' face that there's not even time for the Baileys to finish.
Naniwa's got his army split up. He's got one attack on the right hand side. Another chasing down the army. Storms come down.
These are the best of the best in esports history. And Hux starting to blink forward as the Zealots are removed. The supply goes in Hux's favor.
So much energy. Where did that energy come from? Tanks desperately trying to target fire down Queens.
The Archon's moving forward. A lot is going down here, and only Colossus left over.
He's starting to get some feedbacks down. He's starting to advance forward. Another vortex.
There's the blink forward, trying to get underneath those Brood Lords. Oh, he sends the vortex.
Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, hello from the MLG studios here in New York City, and welcome back to the Winter Season Showdowns. We're currently watching the Kespa matches. Of course, little reminder of the format. Best of 5, Heart of the Swarm, for days and days and days and days. In all of these matches, we get a winner, and the winner goes to Dallas to participate at the Winter Championships. My name is axeltoss, joined by axslav, and today we have Rain versus Flying. PvP, best of 5, Heart of the Swarm should be great.
It should be absolutely amazing. Rain is known for immaculate PvP, but of course that's in Wings of Liberty. Heart of the Storm is a whole new ball game. Flying's a great, great player from Mugen Stars, which have been tearing it up in the Pro League lately. I'm really excited to see these guys go head-to-head.
Honestly, if we're considering Kespa performance and Kespa players in Wings of Liberty, especially among Protoss, Rain is going to be considered one of the best. You can't think of a Protoss player, of a top player in Wings of Liberty without thinking of Rain. So many great results, so much prize money won. Of course, OSL champion. So it should be interesting. Flying, on the other hand, he's a guy who's lesser known, but he's on Mugen Stars. And if anyone has been paying attention to Mugen Stars lately, they are tearing up Pro League over there in Korea, so I could see Flying taking it as well. I think it should be a close series.
It should be a great match, of course. There's a lot of these lesser-known guys like Flying in these Kespa teams that are only lesser known because they haven't had that many opportunities to play in big tournaments. So here, this is Flying's, I guess, first big international opportunity, and I'm really excited to see how he is. He coming out all guns blazing?
Yeah.
Is he gonna be a little bit nervous about taking a step in the international direction? We'll have to find out in just a second here.
It's a new game, Heart of the Storm. So Wings Liberty results, we can talk about it all we want, but ultimately it is a new game. Flying could definitely pull out a win. He's got to try hard though, because Rain, again, one of the best Protoss players in the world. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 of this best of 5 series between Rain and Flying. Of course, the first map is going to be Daybreak. Quick reminder, first to 3 wins. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to drop a subscribe. youtube.com/officialmlgset. Let's introduce players in the top right-hand location. We have the red Protoss player from Team SK Telecom T1. He is Rain, one of the best Protoss players in the world. His opponent in the bottom left-hand location is the blue Protoss player, Flying, from Team Mugen Stars. Haven't seen too much of him yet, but
no, we haven't.
We'll see what he does here.
Talking about PvP and Heart of the Swarm, there's a lot of kind of new theories. Some people are saying, Blink Stalker with the Mothership core is really strong. Other people are saying maybe not so much because you can get DTs out so fast, and of course they don't skip that robo. They're just gonna die DTs. And there's other people saying, but wait a minute. You've got the Void Ray with, much more damage per second now against Stalkers, and you've got Phoenix with extra range, and you've got Oracle, which kills pros just by looking at him. I mean, so the Star gets too strong. So I've heard people say everything's too strong in PvP, but of course, I mean, it's like everything can't be too strong, right? There's got to be a balance in there somewhere. I'm really interested to see which direction these players go as far as whatever they believe is best.
It's interesting, of course. We're talking about Heart of the Storm being a new game, which means these matchups are gonna change up quite a bit. And you mentioned a few of the changes, of course, in Heart of the Swarm. this is a PvP, so what kind of builds are we going to see? Are we going to see fast mothership cores with some early aggression? How much potential does that have to break a fast expanding opponent? Of course, Photon Overcharge defensively from the mothership core can be very instrumental in this matchup as well. And of course, you mentioned those Void Rays, those Oracles. So we'll have to see what these guys open with. Right now we're seeing 2 gases so far, fairly standard play, if we're comparing it to Wings of Liberty. And once that Cyber Core is done, we should start seeing some deviations in these builds. But both of these guys opening up with 2 gateways and a standardly timed Cybernex Core.
The double gateway opening usually is there to get a whole lot of stalkers out early, of course, to get map control. It kind of, people went away from that a bit in Wings of Liberty towards the end because they realized they didn't really need to get that second gateway. They could tech a little bit faster instead. But I think this is a sign that it's a new game and the players, they really want to make sure that they have a lot of reaction time to whatever their opponent throws them. So they really want to get that map control early, push back across the map. First tech path coming down from Flying here. A Twilight Council in the bottom left, and that could be for Blink or could be for Dark Templar. We'll have to wait and see.
It's corner boosting that Cybernetics core. Of course, Wings of Liberty, when we see Twilight Council, it's like, all right, it's pretty transparent as far as, is this going to be Dark Shrine, is this going to be Blink? But now in Heart of the Swarm, Dark Shrine, it's a lot cheaper, and I think that's exactly what Flying's going to do here. Yeah, there goes that Dark Shrine. So have to see where it goes with this. Of course, there's a lot of interesting opportunities with the Dark Templar. You can make them into an Archon and potentially break your opponent's force-fielded ramp. You can try to be a little bit more sneaky, get a pylon on your opponent's side of the map, and take your opponent off guard, going after robotics, going after a lot of probes. And if we're talking about detection, observers. You got to have an observer as Protoss for that detection, or, of course, the Oracle. But recently, the Mothership Core, its ability to detect was taken away. So that's not an option anymore.
It is not. We see Rain pushing across the map and then retreating, perhaps a little bit afraid of letting there become any proxy pylons or anything get too close to him. He finds the probe sneaking around across the map. Is he going to shut this probe down?
Ooh, he sees the pylon too. The pylon's going to get finished up here, and another pylon going down. Rain has to be wondering, okay, what is going on? Let's see how he prepares. He's got a robotics facility about 20% of the way to trying to take an expansion, trying to knock on that pylon, but he has to know that this is Dark Templar play at this point, I think, or some sort of gateway aggression. Either way, he's going to be very safe.
Yes, I mean, he's got to put him on either some type of Blink all-in. It's too late to be just a gateway all-in, right? So it would either be with Blink or DTs. And it is going to be DTs. He is that Robo's on the way done. Not quite up yet. He's going to use some force fields to stay alive in the meantime.
There's the force field.
Great force field, but he is going to end up losing his Nexus. Archon being morphed, that could bully its way through the force fields. Rain, he's got to get a wall set up. If he doesn't set up a wall, that army will just walk right up there, and there's no detection either, so future DTs warped in, that could be a problem. But there goes that pylon wall, exactly what you've got to do to make yourself safe.
All right, Flying's going to try to press up this ramp here, and Rain is going to be able to hold this without too much difficulty, canceling a pylon even. If Flying had a force field, that'd be great here. Ooh, that Archon almost getting taken out, but the shields are going to recharge. Got to be careful, keep that guy back. Very important part of this unit composition here from Flying. But yeah, I mean, now Flying has the ability to kind of contain his opponent, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if he potentially tried to expand behind this.
That's definitely the plan he's going for, getting charged to make sure that his army is stronger. Then all he has to do is just maintain a stronger army, and then at his leisure take that expansion whenever he feels that he's definitely got this contain going solid. Of course, Rain has a couple of options to break that contain. He could go immediately for the Colossus, which would be a great option. He could also go for a Warp Prism. That's what he's doing right now. Warp Prism in production. Playing with fire, poking down the ramp. Oh, but you know what? This works because his observer can tell there's no high ground vision from Flying.
Yes.
So Flying can't put a force field on the middle of that ramp.
A little bit of a skirmish here right outside of Rain's natural expansion. Flying trying to be as annoying as possible. And Rain he's just gonna chill on the high ground for now. Mothership Core is out. Time Warp is gonna be available if he wants. And there's that Warp Prism popping out. So let's see if he tries to be aggressive with that.
You know, it'd be awesome. He builds a proxy Nexus and recalls to it.
Oh, that would take a bit of time though.
It would. He would have to rush out that Warp Prism. If he had a proxy probe outside though, that would have been pretty funny.
That'd be cool.
He would just start building like 2 minutes ago, just finishes now, and just recalls to his opponent's base.
I like it.
And he could recall with all his probes, right? So at the end of the day, it would be base trade, but he would have almost probes alive, his opponent wouldn't.
Yeah, I wonder what base you would take for that. Like, would you take the top middle? That'd be interesting. Yeah, I actually think that could be somewhat viable. Now that I think about it. So Rain is gonna try to be aggressive with a War Prism here on the left-hand side of the map. At the same time, flying, still being a little bit aggressive at his opponent's front door, putting a force field on that ramp. And
DTs are coming back though just in time because there's 5 Zealots out. More Zealots could be warped in. Mothership Core, 3 Stalkers, 2 Zealots, and a DTs. Rain has to back away, but meanwhile, he was able to persuade Flying to give up the front. Flying, of course, was worried about spreading his forces too thinly than having any one segment be picked off and destroyed.
Rain going to be slowly roaming around his side of the map, making sure no proxy pylons are going to stay up. And look at this, Flying might take advantage of this. He knows where his opponent's army is going to potentially try to set up a flank, and that's exactly what he's going to do coming forward. Remember, these are charge lots going to engage into these Stalkers that do not have blink, so Rain is going to try to scurry away, but Flying with a great force field, they're trapping some more units, and Rain is in a bit of trouble here.
He's in a lot of trouble. Of course, the charge gives those Zealots the ability to run down Rain's forces. He's trying to retreat, but he's taken enough losses. I don't know if he has enough to defend this expansion.
Oh my god. And if he can't defend this, if he can't hold this Nexus, he's not going to win the game because his opponent's getting an expansion up right now. He's going to have a superior economy. Void Ray getting out here for Rain, but that's not going to be enough. And Flying taking game number 1 over Rain. Very interesting. Coming out of the gates, very strong.
Very, very strong performance. I think that's going to surprise a lot of people. Rain losing at game number 1. Flying just really showed he knew how to play the situation. You know, he had that nice advantage early from forcing to cancel on Nexus, had the map control, and just ran with it to get a bigger advantage and, of course, win the game.
Great game there from Flying. He's going to go up 1-0 in this best of 5. Coming up, it's going to be game 2 between Rain and Flying. Don't go anywhere.